going to hide behind something now. And shift to talking a little bit about our cover artist, Richard T. Wright. I think I'm going to talk a little bit about how I became aware of this artist and then maybe read towards the end of the essay. The essay is kind of linear, so you really do kind of want to read through it to get how I came upon this artist and thinking there's a lot of describing, looking, and trying to understand about art through just looking. If you don't know who an artist is, then what you have is the work on hand. And that probably makes not the right kind of listening for a Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to skip over some of that and just talk about this artist. Last summer at the Howard Community College gallery, I think it's the Rouse Company Foundation Gallery is the name of it. There's 2 galleries on campus. Both are little hidden gems for the community. I walked in and saw this show of an artist that I'd never heard of his name. It was a retrospective show. What is a retrospective? A whole life's work collected, and let's take a look. And as I started moving around the room, you'll see some of the photographs in the edition, and you can see the sense of the space of the room and the works on the walls. I was realizing that there's a lot of quality here, and this is somebody that a local artist. How come I've never heard of this person? I've been writing these art essays ever since Mike Clark gave me my first assignment to do so. So it's been a number of issues. But anyway, I started to explore, what is this show? There was no artist statement on the wall. There was no little booklet that explains who the artist was, bio, or things like that. I reached for my phone. I started Googling. I got other Richard T. Wrights, artists. So it was a complete mystery. And I was just left with the work on the walls. My daughter is a budding, growing artist, and I talked to her about the show. She had been working at HCC, and so we went one Saturday to the gallery, and they kind of confirmed this sense of this is really, really good work, and what is going on here? Why do we not know this person? And I forget exactly at what point I asked Fahima Vedat, a professor at the community college, who is the featured artist a number of issues back, cover artist for one of our little Patuxent Review articles about Richard Wright. And she explained to me that he was a student. She had been introduced to him as a student of hers in a printmaking class she was talking, and was an artist who was, towards the end of their years, they're still alive, but they had been working as an artist their whole life and built a body of work that no one knows about. They had day jobs. They worked construction when they were younger. Their father worked in a glass company, so they ended up doing a lot of frame work, building frames for other artists. So being an artist was never the focus of their life, what brought them the money. But they always made art. So this incredible body of work that reminds you of all sorts of modern artists, artists and post-war artists. A box like this, I don't know if you know the artist Joseph Cornell, but it's reminiscent of the Cornell boxes. And so, I could see walking around the gallery all these other artists and references, visual references, but there's something else about this work. Once I learned that he was a frame maker, you had a sense that he stopped working with just the plane of a two-dimensional surface of art and started incorporating elements of the frame into the work of art itself.
I need to be your Vanna White.
These are very heavy.
Okay, can I?
I can hold it.
Okay.
I'll let you two.
Does it make you nervous if I do it? Do you want to do it together?
So the painting becomes, in a sense, a piece of sculpture. And the layer of glass over this is cut away, and just a fragment, a piece of glass is centered in the center with wires over an abstract image. The frame itself often has, the frame itself often has elements, this particular one doesn't, but there's cuts into the frame. In this particular one, you can see there's a hole here, so you can look through and see. it becomes like a sculptural thing so that there's a lot more ways of looking at something and getting into a piece. You don't have to hold that for the whole time. But anyway, what I came to realize was that this is a real artist that no one knows about. And what happens to an artist that has a body of work when they come to the end of their life? There's a Jean-Paul Sartre idea. He knows people will forget him when he's gone, but he wants the human beings to be around so the idea of his existence could be remembered. Artists, give this gift to themselves. Their future lies in their work, carrying their lives on as they go on, beyond their days. What happens to an artist in a body of work that just disappears as the artist disappears? Richard was willing to give his work to Goodwill. And you just go, it's kind of baffling that there's this formidable body of work. Anyway, I'm going to read a little bit, so you have a little bit of an introduction there. And then I'll just finish up the essay. I got a chance to do a Zoom interview, and we talked about memory, and some of these pieces almost act like attics. They're visually, that kind of, I remember my grandmother's attic that had so much time and so much story in it. And these pieces are made of all sorts of elements from around Richard Wright's life. Tickets, photographs, elements of other artwork, all built into this layered sculptural thing. A lot of times paintings on a wall are this deep, 3 or 4 inches deep, so there's a lot of room to put things in. One imagines at some point, framing the work of others in a gallery, Wright started to toy with ideas of working with the frame itself and with matting within it to make them a part of overall artworks. Why not? The wall-hung pieces in the show share periods of exploration in such directions. There are frame structures where the depth of a work is no more than 1 inch. The extra space is then used to add more communicating elements to the work. Shapes cut out of the matting to hold things like photographic images. There may be a number of these in the matting of a particular work, and there may be various levels of matting in which this is done. A line drawing may have a wire drawing in the layer between the air and the paper. So a line drawing on the actual paper comes out into a wire, into the space in front of the image, because that space is there. With some of the pieces, the sculptural depth is 3 to 4 inches. The room to explore and articulate grows exponentially. In a Zoom conversation, Wright shared that he really doesn't know where any of the works are going to as he starts out. It's a process of exploration, of sketching. One can sense this through the layering of work. The variety of materials to use, ideas come along and are pursued sometimes whimsically. There's a piece called The Whale, where one sees a book shape as a background on a framed paper element. The lower half, one can see a whale and a torn piece of paper, actual seashell fragments as fins. The word blue appears on tape over parts of a piece, functional and reminding one of water. It seems an easier piece than others to try and figure out what's going on. But then one stops doing that reflexive thing of trying to understand literally and starts just to look at the flow of elements, shapes and colors, lines and movements, suggestions and distractions. It's captivating. One needs to step back and take it all in again and start again. That is one of the great things about these works. There's an interaction one is forced into, a dance moving from up close, then back a bit, then again over and over, putting it all together. As I was considering Wright's work, especially the foundling and preserved feathers, I came across a poem by Bengali poet Tarapada Ray. It's called My Great-Granduncle, and I found it articulated something of what I was sensing as I engaged the works, a sense of place and being, a life as it related to other lives, collected and retold in the way memory lets us hold on, share, and love. Here's that poem. My great-granduncle had a particular hobby. He used to collect the feathers of different birds, of different colors, from different places. His bedroom, his corridor, and staircase were full of thousands of colorful, colorless feathers. On the day before his death, just before sunrise at dawn, my great-uncle went to the rooftop of his house and threw the feathers into the morning air. The feathers floated in the golden rays of the rising sun. Some of the feathers dropped near, some went far, some floated towards eternity, the sky. No, it is not possible to write a story on this subject, but some feathers are still floating in the sky. While Wright's work is abstract, one does want to build some understanding narrative to the pieces. That's our human way. We want to know. But the work here is elusive. I think that is part of the beauty of these works. They remain mystery. Wright shares his works with ideas of time and memory, and you can see his life in them, how he has taken in the world around him, even objects from his actual days, and shared them with us. Collectively, they bring a picture of a very capable artist articulating an exploration of experience. Let the work carry him on.